For the sake of this story, the other woman's name is Roxy, and her paramour, his name is Tim.
Okay.
Do you know what paramour means?
So let me check it out. Through love. It
Interesting.
implies a relationship based solely on love, often physical love, rather than on a social custom or ceremony. Okay.
Perfect. Yes. Okay. So we'll call him Tim. Her paramour is Tim. And after Roxy is a widow. Her husband had left her 15 years ago, left this earth, not her, left this earth.
Okay.
He died. It's probably a more direct way of putting that. And Roxy's coworker, Tim, came over to help her sort through some of like the administrative tasks that she had, like going through bills, setting up payment stuff for her utilities and whatnot. And she had sex with him that night, you know, which was fucking
Wait.
awesome for her because it turned into what?
So do you
Sex for
you
her isn't awesome?
no no do you like
What?
no when did that happen? Was that was not the day of the funeral or something, right? That's like my first thought
No,
is
I'm
like,
sure it
oh,
wasn't.
or
I'm sure that, like
oh yeah, helping them out
I'm sure that
after
she probably she was 68 and he was 75. That's how old she was,
Roxy
by
68,
the way.
Tim.
Yes. Tim was 75 at the time of
Okay.
their affair beginning. And let me see. She told me I actually love her energy. Okay, so yeah, he came over to help her figure out the bills and whatnot and organize all of it. And that night, and she actually educated me on something. Do you know what widow's fire is?
No.
Widow's fire is the burning desire. Yeah, she told me everything. I love that she told
Natural
me everything so
phenomenon
that she trusts me.
phenomenon defined as strong desire for sex following bereavement and is often considered as natural part of the grieving process. What is
Mhm.
bereavement?
It's like when somebody dies, but you should look up the definition because I am not the end all be all to the English language.
Loss, deprivation, grief, sorrow, sadness. That's what I get. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because bereavement in the US is used in order to get leave. Like, this is how I know what bereavement means. Anytime somebody dies, you can ask your employer if you have any bereavement leave so it doesn't tap into your PTO,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So she had said that like widow's fire is definitely a real thing. And it's this burning desire to feel connected to somebody in the throes, or actually, I would say like in the wake of your grief. Like, what the fuck do you do after your husband dies? Like, I don't think that that's something that you can plot and plan for. It's like you're in it and then what? So Tim comes over to do a little bit more than help Roxy with the bills, if you know what I mean.
Well, I guess because
Do you know what I mean?
well, desire for sex following bereavement. So I guess the widow's fire was, how do you say it? Burning.
Yes, definitely a burning desire. So, I would like to share one little tidbit of her story with you that I found really, really interesting. I'm actually going to read you the email that she wrote. She said, "Thank you for recognizing this. It's a problem nobody likes to talk about. And if they do, they want to bash the other woman. Boys will be boys, you know? It's up to women to keep them in line." So true. It's been a journey. I was involved with Tim for 15 years. I invited him over after my husband died in 2007. I was sorting through the bills, taxes, and credit card payments. I didn't understand any of it. He came to my house and set up a payment plan through the internet. He set up a payment plan through the internet. She's so cute. He figured out my taxes. We had sex that night. Have you ever heard of Widow's Fire? It's real. After a while, I decided I rather liked having a dark secret. We met at hotels, my house, and at work. We took trips together. We had lots and lots and lots of fun. At work, we broke the table in the conference room in January. The leg fell off and the table went crashing to the floor while we were having sex on it. I am 68 and he was 75. The building manager who was in charge of furnishings and equipment kept asking us, "How did this happen?" Then he suddenly died. I know he was undergoing chemo treatments, but he was such a strong, healthy man. I thought for sure he would have beat the cancer that was growing inside his liver. I got a text from his daughter on April 28th. I just wanted you to know that my dad died this morning. He thought a lot of you. I was horrified. I sent a dozen red roses to his visitation. I sent a check for $100 to his widow, and I stayed away from his funeral and visitation. I visited his grave and placed flowers. His wife sent me a kind note. I feel like I have been widowed twice, but the second time, all the people around me don't understand how grief stricken I am. He was just a coworker after all. God, I love that. Why should I be so traumatized over his death? He was 75 years old, for God's sake. I never want his wife to know what all was going on behind her back. It would hurt her feelings even now that he is dead. Wow.
Which part?
I mean, all of it, but not, I mean, it's not really that surprising to me that a woman who is in the throes of grief is, susceptible to falling in love and she's quick to say that it was all just born out of lust, which I actually really appreciate about what she wrote to me about. It's almost like she knew. She was like, look, this wasn't I'm trying to poach your husband or anything. This was we thirsted for this physical exertion, I think. I think she just thirsted for human touch, which doesn't seem that strange to me.
Hmm.
And a lot of, I feel like what happens at funerals sometimes is a one night stand. All of a sudden, you lost somebody that was close to you, and all you want to do is feel like you can be close to somebody else. And what quicker way of feeling close to somebody else than having sex? I think it's this rush. Like, I think it is a rush that you just want to feel anything other than what you're feeling in that moment. And so you just hop on over. Let's
Hmm.
go feel something else. It's a coping method.
Did she ask you any questions? Or was it just like, okay, I'm going to share your story?
She
Because 75, I think everyone who's listening to this, they're like, I want to be that person.
Yeah. What, having sex on a conference room table at that age? I cannot
Just
even
having sex at
imagine
that age.
doing that, or even just right now. I couldn't imagine going into my workplace and hopping onto the conference table and being like, here we go, Stan. It really has to be in the moment, you know?
I think there must be something with acquired confidence as you grow older and not giving a fuck about anything.
Oh, I can't wait to get there. I think I would
I
do a
think.
lot more. I think I would do a lot more like disruptive shit if I gave less fucks.
Do you want to share some insights on what disruptive shit you would do?
On destructive shit I would do? No, no,
Okay.
because that would be premeditated. Can't have anything documented like that.
Okay.
But I do want to talk more about Roxy. I had asked her some stories that I would like to think about out loud with you. And some of the first things that popped into my mind was I was wondering if Tim's daughter had actually reached out to her with any questions because she was kind of anticipating that, which I'm sure Roxy really wants that. I'll bet that she really wants to feel like that Tim felt like their relationship was so important that he shared a bit with his daughter because his daughter was with him when he died. So I think that that has value in it to Roxy. But I don't know that, when you're at the end of your life, if you're on your deathbed, is that really the stuff that you're going to share with your child? Like, are you going to tell them about the affair that you've been in for the last 15 years? Probably not. And so, Roxy coming to terms with the fact that, this relationship is only going to exist in the past and only exist from the point of her memories, because now there's nobody else on the planet who she can share in those memories with. And I think that that's a really, isolating and lonely place to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think it would be beneficial to the children knowing that.
Mm-mm.
I've actually never told you about this, but I know someone who died and like an older person. And later, their kid, their son, found out that he was cheating on his mother. And it just
Uh-huh.
increased the amount of grief and exposure to how to deal with that during the grieving process.
Does it
And
increase the amount of grief, or does it just add a layer to it?
I think that it's like you want to grieve loss, but then at the same time you are grieving a person that you didn't like the it's what you always
Actually,
say,
no.
right? Exactly. That
Mhm.
person that you thought was your dad, well, wasn't your dad because, well, they were cheating
Mhm.
on your mother all the time.
They were your dad, you just didn't know this aspect of them. You didn't
Yeah.
know they didn't share it with you, and you feel like or at least I would feel like I was deprived of something that they actually were, so I never really knew it. Like, I think that a lot of people see infidelity as the intent to betray, and I don't think it is that. Like, I didn't cheat on somebody to betray them. I cheated on somebody to meet a need that wasn't being met.
I talked to my girlfriend about this on the reason
Mhm.
people cheat, and I think that it's a partially a conclusion from your side and mine, but it's when the desire to meet your needs is bigger than the desire to meet your standards or your beliefs. And this is what I mean by that. My girlfriend and I were both vegan. I'm a strict vegan, strict for my definition. Whatever, like whoever wants to call me strict, whatever. You eat whatever you want. I don't fucking care.
Yeah,
But
you're strict. I
I'm
validate
strict.
that.
But my girlfriend, when we go on holiday, sometimes what she eats in the morning is a croissant. And croissant has butter, which butter is not vegan, but she does it. And like, I don't fucking care. You do it. Like, she likes it. That's it. Because
Good,
obviously we are outside of
good.
home. We don't have our stuff, our usual stuff.
Mhm,
And this is what
mhm.
I told her, like, your desire to eat is bigger than your desire to satisfy your ethos, your
Yes,
beliefs, right? And that's I think it's exactly the
yes,
same thinking process when it's cheating. It's like your desire to meet your needs is bigger than your desire to meet your values or whatever you want to call that.
I can get down with that comparison. I definitely can. And in the grand scheme of things, right? What does it matter whether she eats the croissant or not?
No, it's not like a thing of judging. I feel like there are so many other, like your desire to eat ice cream is bigger than your desire to be fit. Your desire to, like, it's just
Mhm.
ingrained in every little thing we do in society, but we don't see it. And then cheating is just like
Yes,
the perception of cheating is just so much bigger than any other action, but everyone is sinning every single day, point blank.
yes, yes, they are. They certainly are. If you are the other woman in your relationship and you love this podcast, you would love the Other Women community. The Other Women community is a membership program designed to help other women just like you reclaim their relationship with themselves and heal from their affair. We provide a safe and supportive environment for you to open up and talk about your experiences. We give you the tools and resources you need to grow into an authentic, empowered individual. If you're ready to take the next step in your healing journey, head on over to theotherwomanandthewife.com/community to learn more about the membership and all it has to offer. We were talking about the value add of Tim sharing the details of the affair with his, we'll assume it's an adult daughter. The man was 84, right? Or
Yeah.
85. And but it was very interesting to me that Roxy had shared that with me. She was like, "I expect to have some awkward questions from his daughter." And I think that it will kind of be a little bit disheartening if she doesn't get those questions that she's anticipating because you can almost see that like Roxy does want to feel validated in that relationship by somebody else on this planet, right? And I think that that's a really lonely place for her to be. So I'm glad that she felt like she could share it with me at least, and I could talk with her about the relationship. Cause I even told her, I said, I think what I responded to her with, I was just so impressed. I was like, super impressed, actually. I said, has a daughter reached out since with any questions? And how do you feel this season of grief is different than your season of grief with your husband? And what role did Tim play in aiding your grief of losing your husband? Because this is the other piece, right? The affair partner. If there is an actual affair with like emotional connection and a relationship, right? Which a relationship is just getting to know each other, spending time with each other, sharing past experiences, sharing understanding, all of that. And I think that she leaned into Tim for that support. I'm sure that she was grieving the loss of her husband by sharing stories that she had of her late husband with her affair partner. And this is what I told her. I said, I absolutely love your story. It screams how very much alive your soul is, even in the midst of great loss. I told her I lost my brother when I was 22. My first marriage and affair happened quickly after. I think when women lose people who they cared for / cared for them, they naturally lose a piece of their identity. And that's so difficult to grapple with. The death of a relationship is always a death of a version of ourselves. What your mom said about the hardest part of getting old is watching all your friends die. While I agree, I hope to have a mindset of I'm grateful to even have friends this late in life. When my brother was sick, he was so young. He was dying, and all of his friends, except one, just stopped showing up. This experience highlighted to me the importance and power of just showing up. I hope you have people showing up for you in unexpected and much appreciated ways in this season of life. But I can only imagine what's going through her mind and her heart whenever she's sitting with the loss of somebody that she spent. I mean, it sounds like they work together, right? So they were spending 40 hours a week together. He was
Yeah.
going through treatment and stuff. She said that he was strong and healthy and all of these things. She had every expectation of him conquering the cancer. And then the rug gets pulled out from underneath her in a big way. And it's interesting to me because I know that the world will tell her, what did you expect? It was just an affair. Or, even if they don't know about the affair, why are you so troubled about this? He was just a coworker. And I
Yeah.
think that just simplifies and minimizes something that is so important in her life. And it's almost like I'm super grateful that this podcast exists just to validate the fact that that was a relationship that mattered. And it sounded like it mattered to two very important people on the planet. And so giving her what she needs in order to move forward and move through this, I think is pretty great. So I'm super grateful for this stupid podcast because of it. It's not
Mhm.
stupid. This podcast
It's
is
not
not
stupid.
stupid. Very smart, actually.
The sad part, though, is that it was such a meaningful relationship, but it had to be secret.
But I don't even think that's the sad part. I think, well, if it stays a secret, it will be good that the family did not have to know about it, right? I think that what you said earlier about
Yeah.
experiencing a significant loss and learning a new reality, it's funny whenever I've had people die, I thirsted for stories about them that I had never heard or anything like that. I don't know that this is a story that most people would be mature enough to be able to take it in and be like, okay, what's done is done. I think they would take it too personally and feel like they were cheated on, right? And while
Hmm.
that's true, fuck, I don't know. That wasn't the intent. There wasn't a I want to hurt you. There was a I just want to do this thing with somebody else in secret. I want to escape.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't
I
know.
mean, would you want to know? If Stan died and some mistress came out of the woodworks and was like, your husband slept with me.
It's not about that. It's more about the making that relationship go public before he died. Like,
Mm.
if they spent so many years together and they were happy, and it's like break out of the marriage and break into the affair. You know what I mean? You stop the
Mhm.
affair and you start a relation. It was a relationship, but a public relationship. I mean, some people don't care about that and they're just happy and that's the way it is and whatever. It's just, what is the cost benefit of leaving someone and staying with your affair partner? Because it sounds like the statistics just say, hey, no. And in this case, it feels like a resounding yes. You should go for it. That's what I mean. What is the difference between a resounding yes and a resounding no? Ignorant Kevin asking.
I don't think that you can I don't know. I like that their relationship existed in secret. It's weird. It's almost like I'm saying that I love that they had their cake and they ate it too, kind of.
Hmm.
But I wonder, what was he giving to them? What was he giving to the family that, he certainly didn't want to take away from them, right? Because I think when you make the decision to leave a marriage or leave a family, actually, it's just the marriage, right? You're not having to leave your kids unless they choose that they don't like you anymore because of your personal preference in a mate. Are you, damn, marriage seems like such a fucking trap. such a fucking trap. Every time I get in a story like this, I'm like, what a bummer. What a bummer that like you couldn't go into your own house and say, hey, I really want to do this with my life. And like, I don't know, like fucking, I could not open up a marriage, but I really hope that I am in tune enough with my relationships that I'm not inside of a relationship where I feel the need to deceive other people, you
Yeah.
know? Like, I really like being 100% honest about my current state, obviously. But like, I feel safe enough in my relationship with Stan. Like, I'll give you an example. I really want to do shrooms. I've never done it in my life. I would love to try, but I want to make sure that I'm on the same page as Stan with this decision. I would really like to do a little trip with some psilocybin in me. And I want to do it. And Stan is aware that I have this desire to shroom it up. And Stan is very much of the opinion. He's like, dude, messing with your mind, especially like I'm like 3 kids postpartum. Like postpartum was a hell of a mind fuck for me with the 3rd baby. And he's just like, I just think that messing with your mind with drugs seems really dangerous for the stage of life we're in. So I really had to understand his fear in order for me to hold the line with myself, because there were definitely times where like I'd go over to a girlfriend's house and she's like, want a microdose? And I'm like, yes, let me go text my husband. And
Hmm.
so like I like call Stan and I'm like, hey, I'd really like to do this thing. But I appreciate that about our relationship is like I can walk in with a desire and be like, hey, there's this thing I want to do. And I know it's a desire he is against. But what I tell him every time we have this conversation, every time the opportunity presents itself, I say, at some point in my life, I want to do this thing. I agree that now is not the time. I have very young children. I've just, like mentally, I want to make sure that I stay fit. When he finally like revealed to me that it was less of a judgment thing, because for a while I thought he just wanted to judge me for wanting to do drugs. And it was more a concern out of safety. And he finally said the words. He was like, what am I supposed to do if you die? And I was like, you can't die on psilocybin, But that is a moot point. That is a moot point because he actually fears it. And that fear is very real for him, that like I would die and he would be left alone with the kids. So taking him into consideration in that way, like I think that our relationship is very different because I feel safe to do that. So when I think of like these older people who have like built their life, right? They have their family, they have their house, they are not going anywhere. And then all of a sudden they see somebody who like lights them on fire or quenches their widow's burning desire, whatever it's called, widow's fire.
Hmm.
I'm like, why not? Like, let them have it.
This is not a pro
Let them.
cheating podcast. Just saying.
It's not pro cheating, but my God, like a 15-year, basically a friendship. Okay. Like if we if we get this down to like basic labels, a 15-year relationship that existed for 15 fucking years, there had to be something valuable going on there,
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
just an exchange of physical services.
I agree.
So, like, if I found out that, like, one of my older family members had had an affair for, like, so long, yeah, I'm sure it would, like, distort my understanding of the past a little bit. But ultimately, I would hope that I would be at a place where I was like, you know what? Good for fucking them. That made them feel alive for, like, a moment in time when they felt really down and low and sad and they could be there for each other in that way. Then, like, go for it. Rock on. Too bad you couldn't be authentic about it. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this podcast episode. We appreciate your support and would love to hear your thoughts on it. If you've made it this far, you're likely someone who is invested in the journey of being the other woman. We understand that this can be a difficult and complex experience, which is why we offer guided coaching to help you heal and move forward. We encourage you to explore the links in the episode description or visit theotherwomanandthewife.com/coaching to learn more about our exclusive coaching program and apply today. Thank you again for your support, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.